And then on the lawn there arose such a clatter. I sprung from my bed to see what was the matter. It was just Frida on top of the coop, not 8 tiny reindeer and jolly old Saint Nick. December is here, and that means we are in the season of Advent, making our way to the birth of the Christ child. And early in the season, it is customary to light one candle, known as the candle of hope, to remind us of the hope that is coming into the world. But as we do a little festive foraging on top of Sofie's hill in order to make my Advent wreath this year to share with you, I want to ask you a question. What are the hopes that you are harboring in your heart this holiday? We all have them, and for many of us, sometimes we are afraid to hope because we don't want to be let down by the world. But bringing evergreen into the house reminds us of the everlasting promise of God to be with us, that there is always new life. As I enjoy a little bit of a break here on top of the hill, I'm reminded of a poem that Emily Dickinson wrote. She said that hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul. Hope does make a home for itself in our soul. Always keeping our eyes alert to the new life that is right beneath the snow, like these sapling evergreens that will grow into majestic trees one day, so that a future owner of Old Stonewall Farm will have plenty of evergreen to collect for their Christmas decorations. Well, back at the farm with a measly handful of evergreen, I'll make do and I'll get creative with my decorations. It was time to get rid of the pumpkin. But it was then I had an idea. I decided to make a manger to put on top of Sofie's hill, not only for our Christmas Eve celebration that has become a tradition here at the Old Stonewall Farm, but there's an old legend about filling up the manger with straw each and every day leading up to the birth of Christ. And each piece of straw represents a good deed done. So by the time Christmas comes, the babe of Bethlehem's bed is filled with good deeds and love. I invite you this year to help me fill the manger, not only with good deeds and thoughts of love, but the hopes that you have for the world today. I couldn't think of a better place for the manger than to have a canopy of pine overhead. And once I was back at the farm, I discovered a feather. It was pot pies, brown and white. A little kiss from heaven for my old hen that passed away. Or maybe just a reminder that hope is the thing with feathers, and it does perch in our soul. Well, welcome, my friends, to Old Stonewall Farm. I'm wondering, did anyone notice a little bit of a change at the very beginning of this video? If you did, you get a gold star. I changed the tagline for the holidays. Rather than saying Old Stonewall Farm, where the past is always present, because I like to weave in traditions from the past to the present time. This time around, for Christmas, I changed it to read, where the past is always a present. Because the past is a gift to us. We learn so much from it, good and bad. We learn what to do better, what not to do, and we also learn the things that really do mean a lot in the world, so why not bring them back? So the past is always a present for us. And speaking of which, did you know that there was a time when Christmas caroling was banned? Back in jolly old England, I believe 17th century, Oliver Cromwell banned all Christmas caroling. Now, it was a time of the Puritans rising up, and they were very staunch in their belief, and they weren't into a lot of celebrations. And so Christmas carols went by the wayside, and if anyone was caught fa-la-la-la-lying, well, you probably would, I don't know what would happen. I don't know if they would throw them in prison. I hope not. But it was a ban on Christmas. So it's kind of funny to remember the things that we take for granted by singing and being holly and jolly that at some point in history is frowned upon. Even the Presbyterians, now I'm ordained Presbyterian, there was even a time when the Presbyterians in Scotland did not observe Christmas. So, but here we are, the start of Advent, and I wanted to bring you the message about hope, because we seem to get confused that hope is optimism, or we make hope to be this sentimental feeling, and there's a wish and a dream. Oh, I hope that this will happen. But there was a study that showed hopeful people are the people in the world who don't embrace hope as just a word that means to be optimistic. The most hopeful people in the world are those who act on hope, who take the steps to make tomorrow a better day. They just don't believe in a better tomorrow. They roll up their sleeves and they make it happen. I know so many people are feeling hopeless these days, and especially now with the end of year upon us and the darkening days and a time when everyone is telling you that you need to be happy and festive and holly jolly and sing a carol or two, that there's something wrong with you if you don't feel that, if you feel more isolated during this time of parties, or when you feel more glum during a time of good cheer. That's okay. That is all right, because there's no right or wrong season to have feelings. They just come and go, and there are times in our life when we won't be feeling festive, and then there'll be other times when we are feeling that festivity, or we are feeling on top of the world. The most important thing is to remember that hope is not a sentimentality. It is not about being optimistic, but it's about finding the courage, the strength to take a step forward, to do something, to change your situation. I have someone very dear to me, very close to me, who is afraid of change. No matter how much the world around them is to their disliking, they just can't seem to find it in them to do something to change it. And that fear of change just makes them paralyzed and can make them a bit crotchety to be around. And it's sad for me, because I pray that I never get that way. And who knows, I might. There are things that I am saying and doing that I vowed I would never say or do. But regardless of that, I want to make sure that you hear what I'm saying to you this day, that hope is seen in the actions that you take. It's the first week of Advent, and as I mentioned, it is customary to light the candle of hope, also known as the prophecy candle, because it is early in the season when we hear from the prophets of the Old Testament of the hope that will be born in the world, Jesus Christ. Like the prophet Isaiah foretold, for unto you a child will be born, and the government shall rest upon his shoulder, and he shall be called Mighty Counselor, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Hope was once again born into a very tough and dark world more than 2,000 years ago. And we need to believe right now that that hope is once again going to break through our world. But that hope is not just some Pollyannish belief that tomorrow will be better. It comes from us taking that step to create the change that is needed for a better world. Let's bring it back a little closer to home. If you are one of those people this year that is feeling a bit hopeless, especially around the holidays, then here's some thoughts. Take a step to create the hope. If you're feeling lonely, don't wait for the phone to ring or someone to invite you to have a cup of coffee. Take that step. Make the first call. Invite someone over. If you are feeling hopeless about the future of this world, about the danger that is all out there, the violence, so much violence, then do something. Write to a legislator. Ask for stricter laws. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. If you're feeling hopeless because you don't have family around, or if you happen to be like me and you don't have any children, and I went through that for many years of many a Christmas morning feeling hopeless because there were no little ones around the Christmas tree ripping into presents. I had to really carry that pain for many years. So if you're feeling hopeless because of lack of family, or a child is not in your life at this moment, then reach out to a child. Find someone who is in need of gifts and presents and buy them for that family, so that you know that come Christmas morning, there is a child that is ripping open into presents, and it was made possible by you. You brought hope into the world. Out of all the 4 Advent themes that are usually around the candles that are lit on the wreath, and speaking about the wreath, I cannot find my Advent candle ring holder. So I have yet to create my Advent wreath. Thus why I had to share with you that one candle of hope burning on the chicken coop in a little lantern. But I'm going to adapt, and I refuse to run out and buy things that I need. I want to make do with what I already have. That is where I am right now in my life. And as you can see, I'm still wearing the same dress I wore in the last video or two. I'm just trying to live simply because we really don't need a lot. So I came up with the solution for the candles for the Advent wreath. I'm going to take 4 apples and I'm going to put a candle in them, and then I'll put them on a plate and then put evergreen all around. I didn't have time right now to make it, but wait until our next visit and you'll get to see my makeshift Advent wreath. It was the same way with the manger. Every year, it's tradition that we have Christmas Eve service together on Sofie's Hill. And this year I wanted to have a manger and to bring to you that tradition of putting straw in the manger from now until Christmas, reflecting the good deeds and the love that is in the world. My father made me a manger a few years ago, and I have used it at the churches that I have served. I've thrown it in the car and have manger will travel. Well, I guess all my throwing it into the car made it rickety. This year, I went to go find it, and it was nowhere to be found. So not only was I searching for my Advent wreath candle holder that I still can't find, I was searching for the manger that my father made. It wasn't until my husband came home when I asked him about, hey, did you see the manger anywhere? I want to use it for this year's Christmas Eve services, and I want to introduce all the dear viewers of Old Stonewall Farm to the tradition of straw in the manger. That's when I was told by my husband that it is in the burn pile, the big burn pile outside. I guess it got too rickety that my husband thought it was just ready for the burn pile. Sorry, Dad. I know that there are bigger problems in the world, and I feel foolish saying that I was allowing the lack of having an Advent wreath ready and not having a manger anymore to get me down. That sounds really shallow. But for me, it was real. Like, this is the holiday for me. This was important to me. The Advent wreath was always a very wonderful, beloved tradition of my father's. And then to have the manger that he made, again, it was just nice to have something that my father made. And I was getting sad. I was feeling hopeless. But when I decided that there's still hope in the situation, once I changed my thinking, my eyes opened to see the gifts that were all around and that brought hope back. I realized that I had apples that could stand in for a candle holder. And then I remembered all the old wood I have down in the cellar that my husband almost threw on the burn pile also. But I remember I had that. And so I thought, well, let me give it a shot. So I decided to make that manger. Now, up close, it is a bit wonky and it's not 100% stable. It's a little rickety, but I'm pretty proud how it came out. But I'm really amazed what building that manger and coming up with a solution for the Advent wreath did to my faith. It made me realize that, yes, hope is active. It's actively seeking the next step that will give you that better tomorrow. Hope is in the actions that you take. And before I knew it, I was feeling holly and jolly again. And I also realized that perhaps hope comes to us in unexpected ways. Just like answers to prayer come to us not in our ways, but the ways that God has for us. Perhaps hope comes to us in the same way, in a unique way that we never ever imagined. We might be hoping for something specific. We might be hoping for an outcome that we have envisioned in our minds, but the divine, God has another plan. And so when it comes to hope, yes, we have to be actively working for it, seeking it, but we also have to be actively accepting the hope that God will reveal, not the hope that we want. The other day, I was finishing a story for a national Protestant denomination that I work for, and I had to write an article about their annual Christmas offering that they collect, and the money then goes to help those in need, specifically retired pastors, church workers. I reached out to a pastor to get his story as to how this offering has blessed his family. And he's young, he's not old, and his wife was recently diagnosed with ALS, and the money from that offering has helped them secure caregiving services that insurance doesn't cover. But as we were talking, he mentioned the 4 Advent themes of hope and peace and love and joy that are signified in the candles around that wreath. And he said that this year, what really resonates with him the most is the hope candle. And he said that hope is not optimism, like I've been saying, but he also added that for him, hope is help. Hope is the people that are around him and his wife. And then he said that hope is community that doesn't let you fall through the cracks. I'm still quite fond of Emily Dickinson's observation that hope is this thing with feathers and that it perches in our soul. Become hopeful people. Don't let the world drag you down. Don't let the darkness consume you. Remember that hope asks you to take a step and do something to change your situation. Hope is in the reaching out to another. And in that reaching out, you will discover that there is always a hand reaching back. So my friends, thank you for coming to Old Stonewall Farm. And just a reminder, before we say goodbye, that I do want your help in filling up that manger with straws of hope. So send me an email. My email address is right there, or leave a comment here on this video with where you find hope or what hope is to you. It could be anything that comes to your heart. It doesn't have to be clearly defined, but when I say hope, where do you see the hope? Where do you find the hope? Share it with me. For each comment I get, I will place your straw for you in that manger. So come Christmas Eve, when we light the candles and sing Silent Night together, we will have a manger full of hope, and you will know that your straw is part of all that other straw. What a beautiful image. So I look forward to it coming true. As always, thank you for being part of Old Stonewall Farm. And again, especially thank you for being with me as we journey to the birth of the babe in Bethlehem. Such a wonderful time of year. Let us travel with eyes wide open and with hopeful hearts. Until next time, God bless.